Hey there, welcome back to Gridless Beaver. I am your host, D-, and today we're talking about how you stake up tomatoes. Stake it up, you're not chopping it up and putting it on a stake. No, stake means we're going to attach some stuff to the tomatoes that are starting to grow so much that they will soon start breaking if we don't give them some type of support. I've got news for you. I've already started this exercise. I already have most of the contraption in place for one of the areas, one of the three areas that we are working on. It's a new way of doing it. I think I'm going to really embrace it, but I need to add some more support to it now so that we can have a fully functioning Death Star or tomato cage. Basically the same thing. Anyway, stick around if you want to see some of that. We are here talking about how to support tomatoes. We have some very vigorous growth going on here with these tomatoes, and the tomatoes behind me here, I want to add more support to these before they start breaking, because with this vigorous growth, as soon as fruit starts to set on here, it's going to break the limbs. So I want to create some extra support up higher. A couple weeks ago, I was going to put in some stakes. I didn't want to buy a bunch of cages. They never seem like they work. They do a half decent job, but I crowded these a little bit more, so it wasn't really going to be conducive for putting cages on these. I was able to put them up on one of the three areas for tomatoes, but here I wanted to try something different. So I wanted to try staking something in, so I bought these. I'm not going to use them. And what we're going to use instead is some, I can't remember, these like hold up fencing so that they can support it, but they're also got things you can put your foot on top of to push them into the ground, so it works pretty well. I can't remember what they're called, fence posts, maybe just green fence posts. It does make sense. It works pretty well for temporary reasons, so that's why we have them, and I used 6 of them basically to do up my batches of tomatoes. The way that I did that was on the ends and in the middle. I pushed this into the ground before these things were too established, and then 12 inches off of the ground I tied it up with one round of string. But at the time it seemed super excessive even for the growth then, but I haven't kept up with that. So I want to get these sort of contained so that some of the weight is being taken off of the lower parts of the tomato, because it's just not conducive to have that much weight. It'll just break for sure. So we want to prevent that and keep our fruit levels high. Okay, so looking at this, just pull this back a little bit so you can take a quick peek up there. You can see where it's tied up. This goes high and low, which is actually a pretty good way of doing it. I might mimic that again. We're going to do this again up high and basically be wrapping the string. I guess it's pretty easy just to show you this. I'm not going to do anything complicated as far as knots and things are concerned. I'm just going to tie a simple knot. You can do your own thing. Some people are religious about knots. I am not. Get it? Because that's, I am not. It's a knot joke. Sorry. First dad joke. I'll wrap this around a couple times just to play it safe. Nothing complicated. I just tied it on with a knot, but you could also do a slip knot. And then I'm going to basically just tie this all the way around. Okay, so we have it attached on one end, and here's how we'll be tying it up. We're going to be basically, we want to hold these in so that it's all being supported and it's not flaring out and then breaking off. We have a post in the midway here, so I'm going to go into that. So I give myself some extra room with this string. Bring it into this one. I'll wrap it around it. Roughly the same level. You want to keep in as much as you can. You don't want to be crushing stuff. Take your time. It's not really my forte, but take your time and try to get everything in that you sort of can up to that point. You don't have to worry about the stuff beyond it, because we're going to be doing the same thing for the next sort of region. So that, I'm going to double loop it and put it on one of the latches for the grip area here for this T-bar thing, which holds up fences, and then continue on. So bring it out a little bit, and then start looping around this stuff as well. Once we get a little closer here, pull that a little tight again, bring it right to the edge. Ooh, I do have some fruit set there. Loop it around. I'm gonna actually take up this slack so I can tie this a little bit, because I don't want to go on a free-flowing string where I'm trying to tie everything up when I can't. So that's knotted. It's okay if it has a little bit of slack as far as I'm concerned. We want to make sure it holds, but we don't need it to be perfectly upright. And then we continue along the backside. I don't want these. I think these are some leftover. These aren't all tomatoes. These are whatchamacallits, kohlrabi. I think it also could be radishes, but anyway, we're going to continue along. Oh, I got one here I do want to get in. That way. Bring it around to the halfway point here, which is right here. Create a loop in my rope. Oops, my scissors fell out. Pull it fairly, you don't want it super tight, but fairly tight's gonna be okay. I'm gonna tie a knot here. And finish this up. Whoa! Whoa! Dang scissors. There's some back here. I'm just gonna snip. You can see these ones are out here pretty far. Snip my rope. Tie this off. Yeah, I might end up doing another layer up above. It might make sense just because, I mean, you can see how much growth there's been here. It's not an insubstantial number. It's quite a lot. I'm going to actually do this properly. So I'm just going to make a figure 8. They're so easy. It's just a waste of time not to tie in a crappy knot. Because a lot of the weight is actually going to be on these little supports that are part of this fence post system. It's designed to hold things sort of up anyway, so we're just taking advantage of that. So right like that, it's going to be fine. It's sort of locked in. I'm going to loop around here, try to get as much of this stuff as I can. Oh my gosh, this is really nasty already. So nasty that, how did this isn't even inside of my area. That's how much growth there's been. That is crazy. I'm just going to do a simple overhand knot here, which is yoink, yoink, yoink. I think I need a little more. Yoink, yoink, yoink. wish I would have taken care of this already. So this is, you know, you could take off a lot of these branches too if I just was on top of things. This is really messy. I'm not even sure this is all going to hold here. It's going to be so heavy. Try to get all these in here. Got to start somewhere. This is like the growth, vigorous growth. I'm telling you, it's a good problem to have, but I just want to make sure I can get these tied off so that they're going to stay where I want them to. That's not going to work because I try to do that. I'm going to tie these off here at the ends because they're so, I try to keep on looping this, so I think I'm going to have a weight problem. There. So one side, now we'll do the other side. I think I'm just going to bite the bullet right now and do the top level too. You know, if you've ever had tomatoes before and grown them, the worst thing is when they break and you lose all this fruit, or you're scrambling, or things aren't really working out properly. This looks like it's overgrown, but it's probably needed more spacing. It's such little luck with our tomatoes as of late that it's nice to have this problem where production has exceeded our expectations. The problem is, though, that maybe I should have put these a lot further apart in the first place. I'm just going to chop this off because this is a real pain in the butt. This is all called fine-tuning of processes, so that sometimes you're like, oh, this is the perfect way, it's going to work so well, I won't have any problems doing it. Oh, but there's no need to augment or change our plan. What for, when we have such a great plan? And you know, it doesn't really rely upon anything just other than some subtle execution. Okay, now I have to go around and do the other side so that we have coverage all the way. 2 in this one for sure, because it is very girthy. I hate stepping on that bed, so maybe I can just get some sticks or something to distribute the weight a little bit better here. So I'm not standing on a little space as I'm working on this. I think it's starting to rain. I gotta hurry up here. Okay, I'm standing on these sticks, so I'm not compacting the soil as much. And I'm gonna tie this off real quick like. Just back to a regular old unfancy knot. Over the top here. Lift these up. And lift. And lift. And lift. And then tuck. Okay, so I've come around. I've just tied from that end. And we're going this way. I just loop this around. So you can see this little hook thing here. This is what the fence and stuff stays on. So if you're using the stuff you'd hook your fences on, but it's also good for just weighing stuff down for us. So that's what I'm gonna do. I just broke that tomato branch, drat. And then I am going to cut this, just so I can get this nice and tight. Doesn't need to be fancy. We just need a lot of them sometimes. And then we are into the final bit of string for this bed. That same knot that I just tied on their area, I'm going to tie another knot. Nothing fancy, once again. Work, fingers, work. Come on. Work with me. I'm dying over here. And then we're going to lift. Oh my gosh. This is like a monster. I love it. I'm sure I'm going to break some of these in the course of doing this, but that's okay. I have to go down here. And then we're going to tie off this final edge here. So I do have my scissors, I might as well use those. And tie this off. And when I'm doing this, I'm just hooking it on here a little bit more to that hook thing, because that helps with taking some of the load and makes it sort of easier. You know, you can see this is sort of loose, but this is also really full. This is a little bit tighter on this side, but overall it's done a good job of holding things up here. I think that this is going to work out. I found from previously using twine on many different garden adventures that it goes a long way. So we have this all knotted up and ready to go. You can see it's loose on one side and not so much on the other side. So it's not absolutely perfect, but it does a pretty good job of holding things up. Okay, so now we're done one of the two tomato beds. The third bed actually has the cage on it. This has 3 of these string layers on it now, from the bottom to top. So we'll see how that goes. Some are looser than the other ones, but that's okay. It's just an experiment. I don't find cages always work either. Sometimes you gotta stake them up, you gotta do extra things. I've never had a perfect solution as far as like growing tomatoes and a support system, so I'm interested in this. I do know some early things that I did wrong, such as not doing it early enough so things got into a state where they would have been much better off if it was already established, but otherwise I think it's going to work really well. I'm going to buy some more of these fence posts to be able to put in, so T-bar fence posts or whatever the heck they are, and use those in the future more, because it's a good system. And I find cages rust out, they become useless after 2 or 3 seasons. This seems like there's some legs to it. So thanks for sticking around. We'll catch you guys next time. I am D- once again. A star is otherwise engaged, and yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for coming by. Da, da. String drop. Scissor drop.